It was a bustling Friday night at Lombardi's, one of the most popular Italian restaurants in the heart of the city. The air was thick with the aroma of freshly baked garlic bread and simmering tomato sauce as hordes of hungry diners packed the dimly lit dining room. Weaving between the closely spaced tables, Olivia, a seasoned waitress with over a decade of experience, hurried to keep up with the steady stream of orders. Her feet ached from the constant pacing, and beads of sweat glistened on her forehead under the warm glow of the overhead lights. As Olivia approached one of her assigned tables, her eyes landed on a well-dressed black woman sitting alone, studying the menu intently. Olivia let out a frustrated sigh. This was the last thing she needed right now, another demanding customer to cater to. Putting on her best fake smile, Olivia strode up to the table and dropped the menus in front of the woman with a thud. "Ready to order?" she asked, her tone clipped and impatient. The woman looked up, her brow furrowing slightly at Olivia's brusque manner. "Yes, I'd like to start with the house salad, please," she said politely, her voice soft and measured. Olivia scribbled down the order, already eager to move on to the next table. "Anything else?" she asked, barely making eye contact. "And could I also have a side of the garlic bread?" the woman added. "Sure, whatever," Olivia muttered, jotting down the request and turning on her heel to head back to the kitchen. As the evening wore on, Olivia's treatment of the black woman only seemed to worsen. When the woman asked for a refill on her iced tea, Olivia ignored her, too preoccupied with clearing plates from a nearby table. And when she finally did bring out the woman's entree, she carelessly dropped the plate in front of her, sloshing sauce onto the pristine white tablecloth. Throughout it all, the woman remained composed, her expression a mask of polite patience. But inside, she was growing increasingly frustrated by Olivia's rude and dismissive behavior. As Olivia hurried off to attend to another table, the woman decided she'd had enough. Straightening her shoulders, she stood up and made her way to the host's stand, where a young man stood, greeting arriving diners with a warm smile. "Excuse me," the woman said, gently tapping the host on the shoulder. "I'd like to speak to the manager, please." The host's eyes widened slightly at the woman's request. "Oh, of course, ma'am," he stammered, quickly ushering her towards a door at the back of the restaurant. "Right this way." Olivia watched the exchange from across the room, her brow furrowed in confusion. "Great, another complaint," she muttered under her breath, already anticipating a reprimand from the manager. As the woman followed the host into the manager's office, Olivia couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. She knew her service had been less than stellar tonight, but surely this well-dressed customer couldn't be that upset about a little spilled sauce, right? Inside the cozy office, the manager, a portly man with a kind face, greeted the woman with a warm smile. "How can I help you this evening, ma'am?" The woman took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "I'm afraid I've had a rather unpleasant experience with one of your waitresses tonight," she began, her voice measured and calm. "Her name is Olivia, and she has been rude, dismissive, and downright disrespectful towards me throughout my meal." The manager's brow furrowed, his expression shifting to one of concern. "I'm so sorry to hear that," he said, shaking his head. "Olivia is one of our veteran servers, and we take great pride in the level of service we provide our customers. Please, tell me more about what happened." As the woman recounted her encounter with Olivia, the manager's eyes widened in alarm. This was not the first time he'd heard complaints about Olivia's behavior, but never from a customer of such importance. As the black woman finished recounting her unpleasant encounter with Olivia, the manager's expression grew increasingly concerned. He could feel the weight of her disappointment and frustration, and he knew he needed to address this issue swiftly and appropriately. "Ma'am, I cannot apologize enough for the way you were treated," the manager said, shaking his head. "Providing exceptional customer service is the top priority at Lombardi's, and Olivia's behavior is completely unacceptable." The woman nodded, her lips pressed into a thin line. "I appreciate your concern," she said, her tone diplomatic. "However, I must say that I'm quite surprised by Olivia's conduct, especially considering this is a rather well-regarded establishment." The manager swallowed hard, feeling a bead of sweat forming on his brow. "You're absolutely right, ma'am. Olivia is one of our most experienced servers, and she's typically quite professional. I can assure you that this type of behavior is not at all reflective of the standards we uphold here." He paused, contemplating his next words carefully. "If you're amenable, I'd like to make this right. Perhaps I could offer you a complimentary dessert or a discount on your meal as a gesture of our sincere apologies. The woman considered the manager's offer, her expression softening slightly. That's very kind of you, she said, but to be honest, what I'm most concerned about is ensuring that Olivia's behavior is addressed, and that steps are taken to prevent this from happening again, to me or any other customer. The manager nodded, his resolve hardening. You have my word, ma'am. I will speak to Olivia immediately and make it clear that this type of conduct is unacceptable, and I will also review our service training protocols to see what improvements can be made. I appreciate that, the woman replied, her posture relaxing ever so slightly. However, I must insist on one other thing. She paused, her gaze unwavering. I would like to meet with Olivia myself, so that I can speak to her directly about her behavior and hopefully impart the importance of treating all customers, regardless of their race or background, with the utmost respect and kindness. The manager's eyes widened in surprise. Of course, ma'am, he said quickly. I'll make the necessary arrangements. If you'll just give me a moment, I'll go fetch Olivia and bring her in here. As the manager hurried out of the office, the woman let out a deep breath, feeling a sense of apprehension settle in the pit of her stomach. She knew that confronting Olivia directly would not be an easy task, but she also knew that it was necessary if she wanted to make a lasting impact. Meanwhile, out in the bustling dining room, Olivia was busy clearing a table, her mind still racing with confusion and unease. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss, and when the manager approached her with a grave expression, her heart sank. Olivia, I need to speak with you, the manager said, his voice low and serious. It's important. Olivia felt a lump form in her throat as she followed the manager back to his office, her palms sweating with nervous anticipation. What had she done wrong this time? And why did the manager look so concerned? As the manager opened the door and gestured for Olivia to enter, the waitress caught a glimpse of the well-dressed black woman seated in the chair opposite the desk. Olivia's stomach twisted into knots. This could not be good. As Olivia stepped into the manager's office, her eyes immediately landed on the well-dressed black woman seated across the desk. Olivia felt a knot of dread form in the pit of her stomach. It was the same customer she had been so dismissive and rude to earlier that evening. The manager cleared his throat, his expression grave. Olivia, this is the customer I need to speak with you about. She's had some concerns regarding your level of service and the way you've been treating her. Olivia's face flushed with embarrassment, and she found herself suddenly unable to meet the woman's steady gaze. I am sorry, I didn't realize. She stammered, her voice trailing off. The woman raised her hand, silencing Olivia with a gentle yet firm gesture. Please, let me speak, she said, her tone measured and calm. Olivia nodded, swallowing hard as the woman continued. Earlier this evening, I came in here for a quiet meal, and I was hoping to enjoy a pleasant dining experience. However, from the moment your waitress, Olivia, approached my table, I was met with nothing but rudeness and dismissive behavior. The woman paused, her eyes narrowing slightly. She ignored my requests, she carelessly dropped my food in front of me, and she made no effort to provide me with the level of service I would expect from an establishment of this caliber. Olivia felt a wave of shame wash over her as the woman's words sank in. She knew that her behavior had been unacceptable, but hearing it laid out so clearly only made it worse. The manager cleared his throat, his expression a mix of concern and discomfort. Olivia, I'm deeply sorry that this happened. As you know, providing excellent customer service is of the utmost importance to us here at Lombardi's. This type of behavior is simply not acceptable. Olivia opened her mouth to speak, but the manager raised his hand, silencing her. I want to be very clear about this, Olivia. If I receive any more complaints about your treatment of customers, regardless of their race or background, it will result in your immediate termination. Do I make myself clear? Olivia nodded, her heart pounding in her ears. Yes, sir, she managed to choke out, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman shifted in her seat, drawing Olivia's gaze. I appreciate your acknowledgement of the problem, and I'm glad to hear that you take this issue seriously, she said, her tone diplomatic. However, I must insist on one other thing. Olivia felt her stomach twist with dread, bracing herself for the worst. I would like to speak with you directly, Olivia, so that I can impress upon you the importance of treating all of your customers, regardless of their race or background, with the utmost respect and kindness. Olivia's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected the woman to demand her immediate firing, or at the very least, a harsh reprimand. But this was something else entirely. The manager nodded, a small glimmer of hope in his eyes. Olivia, I'd like you to stay here and speak with this customer. I believe it's important for you to hear her perspective directly. Olivia felt her palms begin to sweat as the manager stepped out of the office, leaving her alone with the woman. She took a deep breath, bracing herself for what was to come, as the manager closed the door behind him, leaving Olivia alone with the well-dressed black woman. An uncomfortable silence settled over the small office. Olivia could feel the weight of the woman's gaze upon her, and she struggled to find the words to break the tension. Finally, the woman spoke, her voice calm and measured. Olivia, I want to start by thanking you for taking the time to speak with me. I know this must be a difficult conversation, but I believe it's an important one. Olivia nodded, her eyes fixed on the floor. I'm really sorry for the way I treated you earlier, she mumbled, the words stumbling out in a rush. I had no idea you were a customer, let alone the owner of this restaurant. The woman raised a hand, silencing Olivia with a gentle gesture. That's precisely the problem, Olivia. It shouldn't matter who I am. You should treat every customer with the same level of respect and kindness, regardless of their race, background, or status. Olivia felt a surge of shame wash over her, her cheeks burning with embarrassment. You're absolutely right, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I don't know what came over me. I've never acted that way before, and I'm ashamed of myself. The woman regarded Olivia for a moment, her expression unreadable. I believe you, Olivia, she said. And that's why I wanted to speak with you directly, to try and understand what led to this incident, and to impress upon you the importance of changing your behavior going forward. Olivia swallowed hard, her heart pounding in her chest. I don't really have an excuse, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I was just overwhelmed, I guess. It's been a long, busy night, and I let my frustration get the better of me. The woman nodded, her brow furrowing in thought. I can certainly empathize with the challenges of working in a fast-paced restaurant environment, she said. But that doesn't justify treating your customers, especially those who are already marginalized, with such disrespect. Olivia felt a lump rise in her throat, and she had to fight back the urge to cry. You're right, and I'm so sorry. I promise it won't happen again. I'll do better, I swear. The woman studied Olivia for a moment, her gaze unwavering. I believe you, Olivia, she said, her tone softening slightly. But I also want to make it clear that I won't tolerate this kind of behavior from any of my staff, no matter how long they've been with the company. Olivia's head snapped up, her eyes widening in surprise. Your staff? She stammered, the realization slowly dawning on her. You mean, you're the owner? The woman nodded, a faint smile playing at the corners of her lips. That's correct, Olivia. I am the owner of Lombardi's, and I take great pride in the level of service and hospitality we provide to all of our customers. Olivia felt her stomach twist into knots, the weight of her mistake suddenly crashing down on her. Oh my God, I had no idea, she breathed, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry, The woman raised her hand, cutting Olivia off. I understand, Olivia, and I'm willing to give you a second chance, but only if you're truly committed to learning from this experience and changing your behavior. Olivia nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. I am, I promise. This has been a hard lesson, but I've learned from it, and I'm determined to treat all of our customers with the respect and kindness they deserve. The woman regarded Olivia for a moment, her expression softening. Very well, Olivia. Let's get back to work then. I expect great things from you going forward. As the manager made his way back through the bustling dining room, a knot of apprehension began to twist in the pit of his stomach. He knew that the conversation between Olivia and the restaurant's owner was likely to be a tense and emotional one, and he couldn't help but worry about the potential consequences. When he finally reached his office and opened the door, he was surprised to find Olivia and the owner sitting calmly, their expressions pensive but not overtly confrontational. Ah, there you are, the owner said, offering the manager a small smile. I believe we're ready to continue our discussion. The manager nodded, quickly closing the door behind him and taking a seat behind his desk. Of course, of course. How did it go? He asked, his voice tinged with concern. Olivia shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her gaze focused on her hands, which were clasped tightly in her lap. I understand now, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm so sorry for the way I treated you, ma'am. It was unacceptable, and it won't happen again. The owner nodded, her expression calm and measured. I appreciate your apology, Olivia, she said. And I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. As I told you, I believe in second chances, and I'm willing to give you that opportunity, but only if you're truly committed to learning and growing from this experience. The manager felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had been bracing himself for the worst, but it seemed that the owner's approach had been more constructive than punitive. Thank you, ma'am, Olivia said, her voice steadier now. I promise I will do better. This has been a hard lesson, but I've learned from it, and I'm determined to treat all of our customers, regardless of their race or background, with the respect and kindness they deserve. The owner smiled, her expression softening. Very good, Olivia. I'm glad to hear that. She turned to the manager, her gaze unwavering. I trust that you'll ensure Olivia upholds this commitment, and that you'll review your training protocols to prevent incidents like this from happening in the future. The manager nodded quickly. Absolutely, ma'am. We take this issue very seriously, and I can assure you that we'll be making some changes to our service training to address it. The owner stood, smoothing her hands over the front of her impeccably tailored suit. Excellent. Then I believe we're done here. She turned to Olivia, her expression stern but not unkind. Remember, Olivia, I'm watching. Don't let me down. Olivia nodded, her cheeks flushed with a mix of shame and determination. I won't, ma'am. I promise. As the owner exited the office, the manager let out a deep breath, his shoulders sagging with relief. Well, Olivia, that could have gone a lot worse, he said, offering the waitress a sympathetic smile. Olivia nodded, her eyes still downcast. I know, and I'm so grateful for the second chance. I really am committed to doing better, I swear. The manager reached across the desk, giving Olivia's hand a gentle squeeze. I believe you, Olivia, and I'm proud of you for owning up to your mistakes. Now let's get you back out there. I have a feeling you're going to be making a lot of people very happy tonight. Olivia managed a small, tentative smile. Thank you, sir. I won't let you down. As she turned to leave the office, Olivia felt a newfound sense of purpose and determination. She knew that she had a lot of work ahead of her, but she was ready to rise to the challenge. This was her chance to prove that she could be the kind of server that Lombardi's, and its owner, deserved. As Olivia stepped back out into the bustling dining room, her mind was a whirlwind of emotions. She felt a mix of shame, gratitude, and a renewed sense of determination, all swirling together in a dizzying cocktail that left her feeling slightly unsteady on her feet. The restaurant's owner, a woman whose name Olivia now knew but had previously never even considered, had given her a second chance. And not just any second chance, a chance to redeem herself in the eyes of the very customer she had so carelessly mistreated. Olivia couldn't help but replay the conversation in her mind, the weight of her mistakes and the gravity of her actions finally hitting her with full force. How could she have been so blind, so callous, towards someone who was clearly a valued patron of the restaurant? As she made her way through the maze of tables, Olivia could feel the eyes of her fellow servers upon her, no doubt wondering what had transpired in the manager's office. She straightened her posture, her jaw set with determination. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her rattled. Approaching the host's stand, Olivia caught sight of the young man who had initially ushered the owner into the office. He looked up at her, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. Olivia, he said, his voice low, is everything okay? The manager has been in there with that customer for a while. Olivia nodded, offering the host a small, tight-lipped smile. Everything's fine, she said, her voice steady. The customer and I had a discussion, and we're all good now. The host's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded, seemingly satisfied with Olivia's response. Well, I'm glad to hear that, he said. I know the manager was pretty concerned about the whole situation. Olivia felt a pang of guilt at the host's words, but she pushed it aside, focusing instead on the task at hand. Listen, I need to get back to work, she said, her tone brisk but not unkind. Can you let the kitchen know that the table I was waiting on is ready for their entrees? The host nodded, his expression shifting to one of relief. Sure thing, Olivia. I'm glad everything worked out. As Olivia hurried off towards the kitchen, she couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. She had been given a second chance, and she was determined not to squander it. This was her opportunity to prove that she was worthy of the trust that the restaurant's owner had placed in her. In the kitchen, Olivia quickly relayed the order to the line cooks, her movements efficient and precise. Gone was the impatience and frustration that had colored her earlier interactions with the customers. In its place, a renewed sense of focus and determination. As the entrees were plated and ready to go, Olivia carefully gathered them up, taking extra care to ensure that they were presented flawlessly. She knew that every detail would matter, that every interaction with a customer would be scrutinized, and she was determined to meet and exceed their expectations. With a deep breath, Olivia made her way back out into the dining room, her eyes scanning the tables for the familiar face of the restaurant's owner. She had to find her, had to show her that she was serious about making amends and proving her worth. As she approached the table where the owner had been sitting earlier, Olivia's heart sank. The seat was empty, the napkin neatly folded beside the plate. Had she already left? Olivia's heart sank as she scanned the dining room, her eyes desperately searching for any sign of the restaurant's owner. Had she already left, disappointed by Olivia's earlier behavior and unwilling to give her a second chance after all? The thought sent a fresh wave of panic through Olivia, and she quickened her pace, weaving between the tables with renewed urgency. She couldn't let this opportunity slip away, not when the owner had placed so much faith in her. As Olivia made her way towards the front of the restaurant, her gaze finally landed on a familiar face. There, seated at a cozy table near the bar, was the owner, sipping a cup of coffee and perusing what appeared to be a folder of documents. Olivia took a deep breath, steeling her nerves, and approached the table with a renewed sense of purpose. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said, her voice calm and polite. I hope you're enjoying your coffee." The owner looked up, a faint smile playing at the corners of her lips. Olivia," she said, her tone warm but measured. "I was hoping I'd see you again before I left." Olivia felt a surge of relief wash over her, and she couldn't help but return the owner's smile, albeit a bit tentatively. "I'm so glad I found you," she said, her words stumbling out in a rush. I wanted to thank you again for the second chance, and to let you know that I'm truly committed to doing better, to treating all of our customers with the respect they deserve." The owner nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I'm glad to hear that, Olivia," she said. "And I want you to know that I believe you. But actions speak louder than words, and I'll be watching to see if you follow through on your promise." Olivia felt a knot of apprehension form in the pit of her stomach, but she nodded, her resolve unwavering. "I understand, ma'am," she said. "And I won't let you down. I'm determined to prove that I'm worthy of this second chance." The owner regarded Olivia for a moment, her gaze searching. "Very well," she said, her tone softening slightly. "I'm glad to hear it." She paused, her eyes drifting towards the folder on the table in front of her. "Now, if you don't mind, I have a few more things I'd like to discuss with you. Would you care to join me?" Olivia's eyes widened in surprise, and she quickly nodded, pulling out the chair across from the owner and taking a seat. "Of course," she said, her voice tinged with a mixture of nervousness and excitement. As the owner began to flip through the pages of the folder, Olivia leaned in, her attention focused and her mind racing. What else could the owner possibly have to discuss with her? Was this another test, a way to gauge her commitment and dedication? Whatever it was, Olivia was determined to rise to the occasion. This was her chance to prove herself, to show the owner that she was worthy of the trust she had been given, and she wasn't about to let it slip away. As the owner began to speak, Olivia listened intently, her mind racing with ideas and possibilities. This was her moment, her chance to make a real difference, not just for herself, but for the entire team at Lombardi's. And Olivia was more than ready to seize it. As Olivia sat down across from the restaurant's owner, her heart was racing with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. She couldn't help but wonder what else the owner had in store for her. Was this another test, or something more? The owner offered Olivia a small, reassuring smile as she opened the folder in front of her. "Olivia, I wanted to have this additional discussion with you because I believe you have the potential to be a valuable asset to our team here at Lombardi's." Olivia felt a surge of hope, but she remained cautious, her expression guarded. "Thank you, ma'am," she said, her voice steady. "I'm grateful for the second chance you've given me, and I'm determined to prove that I deserve it." The owner nodded, her gaze moving to the papers in the folder. "That's exactly what I wanted to hear," she said. "And to that end, I have a proposition for you." Olivia leaned in, her full attention focused on the owner's words. "A proposition?" she echoed, her brow furrowing slightly. "Yes," the owner replied, her tone measured. "I've been looking for someone to take on a more leadership role within our service team, and I believe you have the potential to fill that role." Olivia felt her eyes widen in surprise. "A leadership role?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. But after the way I treated you, I don't understand why you would even consider me for something like that." The owner held up a hand, silencing Olivia's protests. "I know what you're thinking, Olivia," she said, "and believe me, I wouldn't be offering you this opportunity if I didn't truly believe in your ability to learn and grow from this experience." She paused, her expression thoughtful. "You see, I've been watching you for some time now, and I've been impressed by your hard work and dedication. Even on your worst day, you've always been one of our most efficient and reliable servers." Olivia felt a flush of pride at the owner's words, but she couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt as well. "But that's just it, ma'am," she said, her voice tinged with shame. "I let my frustration get the better of me, and I treated you, of all people, with such disrespect. How can you trust me to lead others after that?" The owner leaned back in her chair, her gaze steady. "Because I believe that everyone deserves a second chance, Olivia," she said. "And I've seen the remorse and determination in your eyes. You know where you went wrong, and you're committed to doing better." She paused, her lips curving into a small smile. "Plus, I think you have a unique perspective that could be invaluable in helping us improve our training and customer service protocols." Olivia felt a surge of emotions: gratitude, humility, and a renewed sense of purpose. I don't know what to say," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "I promise, I won't let you down, ma'am. I'll do whatever it takes to prove that I'm worthy of this opportunity." The owner nodded, her expression warm. "I'm glad to hear that, Olivia. Now, let's talk about what this new role would entail." As the owner began to outline the details of the position, Olivia felt a growing sense of excitement and determination. This was her chance to not only redeem herself, but to make a real difference in the lives of her colleagues and the customers they served. She was ready to embrace this challenge with everything she had, and she was determined to show the owner that her faith in her was not misplaced. As the owner outlined the details of the new leadership role she was offering Olivia, the waitress felt a growing sense of excitement and determination. This was her chance to not only redeem herself, but to make a meaningful impact on the entire service team at Lombardi's. The primary responsibilities of this position would include overseeing the training and development of our servers, the owner explained, her gaze steady and her tone professional. "You would be responsible for creating and implementing new training protocols, as well as monitoring the performance of our service staff and providing feedback and coaching as needed." Olivia nodded, her mind racing with ideas and possibilities. "That sounds like a lot of responsibility, ma'am," she said, her voice tinged with a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. "Are you sure you want to entrust me with something like that, after the way I treated you?" The owner held up a hand, silencing Olivia's doubts. "I understand your hesitation, Olivia," she said, her expression softening. "But as I said, I believe in second chances, and I've seen the genuine remorse and commitment to change in you. I believe you have the potential to be an exceptional leader." Olivia felt a surge of gratitude, and she couldn't help but smile. "Thank you, ma'am. I promise. I won't let you down. I'm ready to take on this responsibility and prove that I'm worthy of your trust." The owner nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of her lips. "I'm glad to hear that, Olivia, and I want you to know that I'll be here to support you every step of the way. This is a big opportunity, but it also comes with a lot of accountability." Olivia straightened her posture, her gaze unwavering. "I understand, ma'am, and I'm ready for it. I'm determined to make a real difference, not just for myself, but for our entire team, and most importantly, for our customers." The owner regarded Olivia for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "That's exactly the kind of attitude I'm looking for," she said. "Now let's talk about how we can get you started in this new role." Over the next hour, the owner and Olivia discussed the specifics of the position, outlining a plan for Olivia to begin implementing new training protocols and working closely with the other servers to improve their customer service skills. As the conversation drew to a close, Olivia felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She had been given a second chance, and she was determined to make the most of it. As she stood to leave, the owner reached across the table, giving Olivia's hand a gentle squeeze. "I know you can do this, Olivia," she said, her voice warm and encouraging. "Just remember, I'm here if you ever need any support or guidance." Olivia nodded, a grateful smile spreading across her face. "Thank you, ma'am. I won't let you down, I promise." With that, Olivia turned and made her way back out into the dining room, her steps light and her mind racing with ideas and plans. She couldn't wait to get started in her new role, to start making the real difference for the team and the customers they served. As she approached the host's stand, the young man from earlier looked up at her, his expression a mix of curiosity and concern. "Olivia?" he asked, his voice tentative. "Is everything okay?" Olivia offered him a reassuring smile, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Everything's great," she said, her voice filled with confidence. "In fact, I have some big news." As Olivia approached the host's stand, the young man looked up at her with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Olivia?" he asked, his voice tentative. "Is everything okay?" Olivia couldn't help but smile, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Everything's great," she said, her voice filled with confidence. "In fact, I have some big news." The host's brow furrowed, and he leaned in slightly, clearly intrigued. "What is it?" Olivia took a deep breath, her grin widening. "The owner has offered me a new leadership role on the service team," she said, her words stumbling out in a rush. "I'm going to be responsible for overseeing the training and development of all the servers." The host's eyes widened in surprise, and he broke into a broad smile. "Olivia, that's amazing," he exclaimed. "Congratulations, that's a huge opportunity." Olivia nodded, her expression humble but determined. "I know, and I'm so grateful," she said. "It's a big responsibility, but I'm ready to take it on. I'm determined to make a real difference, not just for myself, but for the whole team." The host reached out, giving Olivia's arm a gentle squeeze. "I have no doubt you'll be incredible at it," he said, his voice sincere. "You've always been one of our hardest workers, and I know the other servers really look up to you." Olivia felt a surge of pride at the host's words, and she knew that she couldn't let him, or the owner, down. This was her chance to prove that she was worthy of the trust that had been placed in her. As Olivia made her way back to the kitchen, she could feel the curious eyes of her fellow servers upon her. She knew that the news of her new role would spread quickly, and she was bracing herself for a mix of reactions. Some would no doubt be happy for her, but others might be skeptical or resentful, especially after the way she had treated the owner. But Olivia was determined to win them over, one by one. When she reached the kitchen, she found the manager standing near the line, overseeing the preparation of a batch of entrees. He looked up as she approached, his expression guarded. "Olivia," he said, his voice measured. "I heard the news. Congratulations." Olivia nodded, offering him a small, sincere smile. "Thank you, sir," she said. "I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I'm determined to make the most of it." The manager regarded her for a moment, his gaze searching. "I know you are, Olivia," he said finally. "And I want you to know that you have my full support. If there's anything you need, anything at all, you just let me know." Olivia felt a surge of gratitude, and she reached out, giving the manager's arm a gentle squeeze. "Thank you, sir. I appreciate that more than you know." With that, Olivia turned and made her way back into the dining room, her mind racing with ideas and plans. She knew that the road ahead would not be an easy one, but she was ready to face the challenges head-on. As she scanned the room, her gaze landed on the familiar face of the restaurant's owner, who was deep in conversation with a group of diners. Olivia couldn't help but feel a swell of pride and determination. She was going to make this woman proud, no matter what it took. Straightening her posture, Olivia took a deep breath and made her way across the room, ready to take the first step on her journey to redemption and leadership.